Good morning to a very, very soggy Sabi Sands in South Africa. This is Safari Live, and we have some very soggy we have here, but are not doing a very good job. I am Noelle, and on camera we have Senzo. Hello, Senzo. Senzo's giving 3 fingers and a thumbs up today. Senzo is in his cave, very, very, very dry. I'm half in the cave and half dry for this morning. So it was raining, and then it let up, and Tristan and I were like, yay! And then after we said yay, the rain came, and it hasn't stopped since. Now, I know for us it's uncomfortable with the wet weather, but for the bush it's desperately needed. So I'm changing my mindset and saying it's okay that I'm wet. It's okay that everybody's soggy. The bush needs the rain. So now I want you to notice what these impala are doing. This is pretty much what their nighttime behavior would be as well. So with heavy rain like this, their senses are compromised, which means it's easier for a predator to get them. Although with a heavy rain like this, predators in our area tend to be undercover as well. Not always, but they have a tendency to be undercover as well. Excepting maybe our very cheeky wild dogs who do enjoy running around no matter what. So they'll stand in these little groups, and they'll feed, and they'll keep an eye out. And they'll make sure that they're covered as much as possible. That's a really amazing display of allomimetic behavior, the copycat behavior. One moves, they all move, and then look, they're regrouping again to keep themselves as safe as possible. Now, as I say that, this group is going to be joined by another group just to our left-hand side who saw those ones running. Now they're all running, performing allomimetic behavior, and they're going to come together in a larger herd into a rank of impala. Now, most of these impala that we're seeing are females with youngsters. I see a few younger males coming in. I haven't quite seen any large males yet. A lot of this time of year you'll see, oh, there's a large male, thank you. Well, no, not that large, but larger than on the other ones I'd seen. A lot of the ones with even bigger horns will be sort of in little bachelor groups. Steph, you're saying that they really need the rain after the drought. Yeah, Steph, our drought last year was not good. Our rain this year has been fine. Our winter this year was not bad. Last year's, so we're going back some ways, was not good. So everybody's okay now. We've stabilized again, don't worry. And drought's a natural part of life. Is that a little Ville de Beast bum shining through the background there? It is indeed. Just to the back of those impala. Drought's a part of life, as is flooding. I know that we talk a lot about it in human spheres, about the amount of droughts, the amount of floods that we're having, and how the frequency has changed. We're having more, and that's possibly not good. But the wildlife that we're viewing in general is meant to be this way, and in general, those droughts are for a purpose. So I know the buffalo herds were hammered quite badly during those droughts, but that means that all the buffalo are left are the strongest, because the drought only really affected the grass. It didn't affect the leaves, so they carried on as normal, as did the kudu, the warthog. That's what we need. We as humans tend to remove ourselves from nature's ability to take out the I don't want to say good, but that's the only word, the non-functioning genetic material, and carry on with our technology sort of in whatever facet we have. Peter Ston, you're wondering if wet weather equals a hunt. Now, something it's really interesting, because we are fortunate enough to have teams here in the Sabi Sands in South Africa, as well as teams in the Masai Mara in Kenya, showing you content from both. Ooh, those ones are getting a little bit of a fright there. I wonder what they're running from. We might have to go and check that out in a minute or two. Because you're getting both feeds, you're seeing wildlife and predation in weather conditions in 2 different areas where they behave differently. So we've had a lot of rain up in the Mara recently, and you've watched lions with Taylor and Brent and Jamie that are active in pretty much torrential downpours. And then you've been with us and had very little predator behavior in rain like this. they do not hunt as much in these hard rains. They tend to stay under. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen, but there is a definite difference in the hunting styles between the two places. And even just within Kenya and just within South Africa, you'll find differences across the countries. Now, my good friend Tristan is out and about, so I'd like to send you over to him so that he can tell you about how wet or dry he is at the moment.
Well, Noel, I'm about as wet as it gets. For some reason, Jigger's got a little ramp on the top right here where every bump, a cascade of water falls down onto my right side, down my shoe and all kinds of other places. That really isn't that pleasant, but it doesn't really matter. It's a beautiful morning and we need the rain, and so it's all good. As Noel mentioned, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I have a VM, the Ville de Beast search for leopards. We're probably going to head back to where Hosana and Shadow and Tingana were and see if maybe any of those three are still around. Now remember, we are live, we are interactive, which means hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or YouTube chat should you want to get hold of us. Now what we're going to do is we're going to slowly go down Zoe's Road, and the reason why I'm going down this section before we head towards Chitwa is because the Nkahuma Pride, I believe, yesterday were on two different buffalo kills that were separated. One was actually very close to our boundary, and so I thought maybe it's worthwhile just driving here in the off chance that they finished that buffalo and decided to waddle their way towards Impala Plains. So we'll go and check that side. Other than that, well, like I say, we're down to Chitwa Dam and to see what's happening there. But it's going to be a wet, soaked affair, I think, and maybe we'll struggle a little bit with the cats, but it should be a good weather for things like elephants. I know Ellie's often are out in this. They're moving around, and so far all we've seen evidence of is elephants everywhere. There seems to be dung and footprints all over the road. So hopefully we'll have something like that as we go along. We also should get quite a few frogs this morning. They should be still calling, even though they more call at night. You'll have a situation where they do call at the early hours as well. So things like the foam nest tree frogs, you'll find your painted reed frogs, bubbling casinas. We even might get some of our banded rubber frogs calling if they like the rain, and so they often do start calling when the rain falls. I wonder if we're going to get a big bullfrog outbreak like we did last year, where we had a bit of rain and some puddles formed and bullfrogs had arrived in their droves. I wonder if that's going to happen again. Now Jigger's now throwing water at me once again, so that's going to be a delightful morning. I think I'm going to have to redo this roof a little bit, because otherwise my shoe on the right side, as you can already see, wet. So there's my foot on the accelerator, which is quite amazing. But we're going to try and avoid having too wet a shoe, because ultimately I don't even know if I've got any other sets of guiding shoes here, and so it'll be a bit of a difficult affair if my shoes get wet, because otherwise I'm going to be like Steph and walk around with squelchy shoes over the next few days. Now, while I try and start making my way southwards and down towards Chitwa to see what's going on, let's go across to my friend Scotty D, who's not on foot today, but has found himself a nice, safe, warm, dry spot for the morning.
I certainly am warm and dry, and sorry Tristan and Noel, it is some tricky conditions out there. Although I've also found myself in a bit of a spot of bother. My finger is in the mouth of a puff adder. Now, you ordinarily do not want to be in this situation. These snakes have got a very, very large, recurved fangs that can envenomate you with horrible cytotoxic venom that will cause your flesh to rot. And if it did bite your finger, there's a strong chance you would lose it. Now, what's interesting is that this skin has been preserved so well. You can even see the colorations and markings, which are quite beautiful on a puff adder. Not the biggest puff adder, this one. It's about 2.5 feet in length, and what I would like to do is show you the full length of it. Where I was working up in Kenya in an area called Samburu, we used to get massive puff adders. Some of them were about 5 or 6 feet long, so almost triple the size of this individual. And what I would like to do now is put it under the microscope, which is over here, and I've pre-focused it, so I might have to just tweak it a little bit. Ooh, wrong way. Haven't spent too much time in the tent. Look at that. All the individual scales. And what I would like to do is just pull very slowly, otherwise you guys might get a bit seasick. Hold on. Hold on. I want to show you the eyes. Sorry, I'm not doing a good job here. This is kind of what I was hoping to show you. Let me just get the focus right. There's quite a lot of glare coming off the eye sheath. Look at that clear eye sheath glistening back. And isn't it fascinating that even the skin around the eye is grow into its ever-growing body? So interesting stuff. And with rainy weather like we're experiencing today, hopefully we will actually be able to find some snakes, because the animals that we don't get to see as often as we would like to, they definitely here in the Sabi sands. And what we've noticed is that snakes like to move after the rain, possibly because they get a little bit soggy wherever they're hiding out, or possibly they know that a lot of their prey will be moving about in the search of their prey after the rains. Lots of insects emerge after the rains, and amphibians like frogs, and when all those animals come out, then what will happen is obviously the snakes will start looking for their predators, and that means our predatory Safari Live guys will hopefully be able to find you some good views of them. I'm going to make myself comfortable in this tent. It's a bit of a foreign environment for me, but I'm looking forward to showing you guys around. There's some really interesting artifacts. For now though, we'll be sending you back to Noel.
Oh, Scott, I'm so sorry that your dry, warm tent is a foreign environment for you. I do hope that you managed to get over those sensations quickly. While Tristan and I are out here with Sens and VM getting sopping wet, but hopefully it'll get a little bit better. There's a bit of cloud lift as we carry along. I don't know if we'll get any... Oh, there's a tortoise. I'm so sorry, tortoise. I'll back up and we can have a look at our tortoise. Now, because we've got the cave at the back, it's gonna have to be over the bonnet of the car. Is that okay for you? I think maybe it will be. Let's go investigate our tortoise. I'm already wet. Doesn't matter if I get out of the car. There we go. And I don't know if you guys can see the beautiful trail that it's leaving with its tracks, like two little railroad tracks. It's a little hinge tortoise, little Speaks hinge tortoise. And that's about as fast as they can move. And you saw that. That's pretty quick. So he's moving out of the road because I came through, and now he's deciding if he's going to carry on into the wet or if he's going to hide in the grass here. I have a feeling he's probably just going to hide in the grass here. So it's good for him that he moved the way he did. When it's raining like this, even when we're not on the reserve, if we're driving around outside the reserve, it's important that we keep an eye out for tortoises. And you'll always notice bush people, because they've stopped on the main highway and they're busy ushering tortoises off the road so that no one drives over them. So this little guy is going to stay in there, and we'll leave him be now that he's moved. Oh my goodness, everyone, it's very cold. Okay, so I'm going to head down towards Twin Dams. For now, might change my mind along the way. You never know. And see what goodies pop up around there. And ooh, sorry about that. What is going on, Wendy? Are you okay today? Sorry, everybody. Everybody's a little bit slow. I'm having a little bit of a trouble getting started today. So yeah, we're going to head down towards Twin Dams and see what we can find. I'm hoping that our wild dog pack comes back around to show themselves. And I really want lions today. Seek Truth, you'd like to know what is the most interesting sighting I've had because of rain. The one that pops in my head, Seek Truth, is something that happened because of rain, and then the rain stopped, and it's a photographic sighting. I was working on another property in the Northwest Province, and it had been pouring with rain, and it was so cold, and then it stopped, and so the mist was coming up, and there was maybe a slight drizzle, and we're sitting on a damn wall, and you can't really see very far. And all of a sudden this herd of elephants started coming out, and they came out in a V formation, and my guest and I got these amazing photographs of this whole herd of elephants breaking out of the mist, and the mist was so fine that it almost looked like snow. It was very, very, very cool. I will see I will see if I can find any of those images. I'll post them on my Instagram. I'm so bad. I've been cataloging my photos, and then I put them in places and I can't remember where they are. So I'll try and do that for you. Oh, and speaking of elephants, Tristan has found some. Let's head on over to him.
I haven't found one, I've found 1.25 because that little one is seriously small. It is a tiny little baby. You can see the back of its ears are still a little pink in coloration and it's still wobbling about a little bit. So it's having a tough time keeping up with mom in this thick, lush grass, and it's probably a little on the cold side. Hello, little one, although it's got a smiley face, doesn't it? It almost looks as though it's smiling at us on this morning, so it's very, very cute. So, Kirsty, you reckon it looks fuzzy? Yes, on our fuzzy meter, this elephant would score quite highly. We have forgotten about our fuzz meter, or what was our fur meter? Maybe Kirsty will remember exactly what the terminology was for our metering when it comes to measuring the fuzziness of an animal, but it is a very, very fuzzy little baby. It is super cute. I'm going to try and position ourselves so we can carry on seeing it, because at the moment we've got our roofs on, which means that I've got to face pretty much head on and try and get them into frame that way. You can see there's a bit of vegetation in between us and it at the moment. It seems most of the herd has already moved towards the sort of western boundary, and this is the back end with this female, and she's got a accompaniment of another young female on her left hand side, but the little baby you can see is sticking as close as possible, and you see how there's that instinct even at that small age that she must stick on the backside of mom, away from where there's a perceived difference in the herd. So us arriving, this little one all of a sudden goes round to the back sort of left front, where she knows that the mom is between it and where we are, and that means that it can then be very, very safe because mom's going to protect it. You can see now it's also getting a lesson in dust bathing, so mom is picking up clumps of sand and soil and throwing it on her, and the little one is probably just watching and observing while trying to get a little bit of a suckle going on. So that will be all vital lessons. You'll see as mom does it, it'll try and do it itself. Now this one is far too small to have really any control of that trunk at this stage. I would say this elephant is probably only a couple weeks old, and so it's going to really lack the control to actually effectively dust bath, and it won't really be able to do it, but at least it's watching and it's learning, and this is how elephants go about their business, is to be able to sit and watch what's going on. Chitty chatty me, no, I don't think this baby was born last night. It's far too comfortable on its feet. While it's still a little bit kind of doddery, it's not wobbling and sort of slipping and sliding. So I think it's probably a couple weeks is my estimate. It's still quite pink in coloration, and we have had inclement weather with a lot of overcast skies, which will mean that pinkness will probably last a little bit longer than normal. But I don't think it's a brand new, brand spanking new little elephant. I think this one is a couple weeks old. So it's still very cute and very small if you consider that its lifespan is going to be sort of 50 years. It's in really 1% of its life is what it's been through as yet. So it's a long way to go, and it is a very cute little one. I think it's going to probably melt the hearts of quite a number of people, although it's a bit obscured at the moment, isn't it? We'll try and see if we can get a better view. I see a whole bunch more Ellies just appearing in front of me at the moment, so they're starting to come through, and we'll join the rest. But look at that, isn't that a happy little face? And it is furry. It's been covered in dust now, and it's kind of jumping around underneath mom there and just trying to keep up with her as she walks around. That is very cute. What are you doing, little one? Maybe it is a bit more wobbly than I first thought, although I don't know what it is doing. Oh no, oh, almost fell over. Did it fall over? It was close. And then it's going to go charging off, but there you can see the pinkness. Oh, that was a big trumpet. That was from that little baby. I think it ran into the back of another one, and that's why it was making a bit of a noise. But how cute is that? Very, very sweet little thing. I love baby ellies. They always got lots and lots of attitude and seem to be so bewildered by the world around them. And can you imagine for an individual that's got a really large brain, because elephants' brains are very big, they're much like us as people, is that their brains are quite large in size, that it's taking in all of this. And now today you've got a bit of rain that's fallen, so there's these smells and sounds and all these new little things that this little one might be experiencing for the first time, depending on how old it is. And so it must be just wondrous to be out there and to see all of this. Kathy, you're wondering if mother elephants groom their babies? No, so they're not going to be like the cats that will sit. Did it just fall over? It did just fall over, didn't it? Oopsie, it's now stood up again, but they'll kind of guide themselves to, well, guide these little ones to places where they are dust bathing, and then indirectly this little one will be dust bathed at the same time. And then obviously towards water and mud wallows, the mom will encourage it to get in there, but they don't lick them or spray them with water and kind of shower them. It's more a situation that they kind of lead them there, and then the little one just mimics what everybody else is doing, because that's how it all works. Now, these guys are slowly but surely disappearing into some deep, dense thicket, and because our vehicle with our roof is probably not going to be the easiest thing to negotiate, we're going to try and see if we can get another view of this little cutie. But while we do that, let's go across to Scotty D, who I think has got something that is part of an elephant that is no longer with us.
Well, I'm also a little bit wobbly leg, just like that baby elephant. 1003, 1004, 1005. Hello everyone. I forgot to introduce myself earlier. My name's Scott. It's great to have you with myself and Dave on camera. We're in the tent, and I know you guys have just been viewing that cute little elephant with Tristan. It's probably only about that tall at the moment. It's a guess, give or take a few inches. And isn't it fascinating to think just one of that elephant's bones will be bigger than that entire little baby once it grows up. Now, this looks like a femur bone, and it's something I always find fascinating, how our bones can grow and develop so much from when we are tiny little babies to when we are adults. And I guess elephants have got quite a similar journey to us as humans in terms of the rate that they grow. They don't grow very quickly, and I guess, you know, almost exactly like us, when we get about 15 to 18 years of age, that's when the young bulls will start leaving home, and when they get to about 60, that'll be the end of a good career. So not hugely different to us as humans. Very nice. Now, our plan was to head out on bushwalk this morning. The weather, it's tricky to read. It's kind of coming and going, the drizzle. I'm hoping it is going to stop so we can head out and help Tristan and Noel try and find some tracks, and then who knows, leopard or lion could have come onto the property and could be lurking about. For now though, it sounds like Noel has found something else of interest whilst looking for the big cats.
I found my first flowering ground lily for the season for me. I cannot for the life of me remember the common name for this, but I believe it's the Amocharis Corencia, which is on the Sabi, which I believe is the South African National Botanical Index, a red list, this particular ground lily. Now, I know we have a lot of botanical fiends that are out there that watch the show, so if you want to triple check my assessment of this ground lily, please do. Look, with lilies, because they only flower just after the first really big rains, and they only flower for a week or so, again, it's something that I relearn every year. But since Scott is stuck in the tent and cannot go out on his own 2 feet, I thought I would show you something that we would normally see from bushwalk, and it's also just pretty. And of course, we all like pretty flowers. Now, there will be a bulb, a huge bulb that's under there, and baboons will dig up that bulb and eat it as part of their sustenance, but there tends to be a little bit of toxicity for us. It's not something we would eat. Now, while I'm busy staring at this beautiful flower, I think let's head back over to Tristan and his tricky little elephants.
Now it's being as cute as a little button. It's now trying to have a little suckle and a bit of milk for the morning, but it is quite cheeky. It's been kind of running around all over the place, and you can see it's now sandwiched between a number of the adults. It's kind of gotten itself into a great place for being protected. All of these adults will make sure that nothing really gets close to it, and they have to do that because at the end of the day, this little one is going to be food for thought of a number of the predators. So you're going to have a situation where things like lions, leopards, hyenas, wild dogs even would all be capable of taking an elephant of that size, and so the adults have to be able to defend it, and so that's why that little one will be right in amongst all of them and be protected by those grouping together. Now you can see every now and then it decides that it wants to have a little lie down. I suppose it has walked a bit, and when you're still young like that, it might be a situation where it's time to have a bit of a rest, and so it keeps kind of flopping down. So, Top Mod, you're wondering how long it will suckle for? There, it's having a little investigation of some of the others. Well, it will probably suckle for about 2 years. Sometimes they go a little bit longer. I have seen elephants that are closer to 4 still suckling, but that's a rare event. Most of the time it's about 2 years, and then they're starting to be weaned off from milk and starting to go more onto vegetation. And the reason why it's such a long process is because they have to get control of that trunk to be able to feed. You can see now it's just kind of wobbling its head, and this trunk is just going all over the place. And this is exactly how we see elephants learn how to use their trunk. It must be such a weird thing when they're first born. There's this kind of floppy thing on the front of their head that goes all over the place, and it's got more muscles in it than our entire human body, and so we know it takes us a while to become quite coordinated and to walk around and to get our sort of skills to be able to talk and do all kinds of things. So it takes a while for them to learn how to use that, and once they've kind of got that down pat, then they start going off milk and start getting onto vegetation. But and as if the female has another calf, and this little one is 4 or 5 years old, it's going to still go and suckle and try and steal from the little one. So, Sean, you're wondering if any bulls will take turns in child minding before they leave. So if they're a young male that is from the female, so let's say there is a young boy that is in amongst this herd that is an offspring from that little female that is still young enough to be with the herd, so it's under the sort of 12 to 15 years old, then yes, it's most certainly going to be very protective of its sibling. It will come to its defense, it will make sure that it looks after it, and sometimes you'll even find these little ones will spend time with their siblings, following their siblings around rather than their mother. This one is a little bit on the small side though. It's going to be still a bit nervous to go anywhere but with mom, but you will find that young males will accompany these little ones as well. Once they get a bit older and you find the mating males or breeding males, no, they'll play no part in looking after this little one. In fact, there'll be nothing that they will do. They'll kind of feed off on the edge and meander off on their own. They're not going to do anything with this little baby whatsoever. It's only going to be its siblings and the young males that are within the herd itself. But how cute is that? It is definitely a fluffy elephant, that's for sure. It's almost bordering on woolly mammoth fluff. So, Kathy, yes, the baby Ellies can most definitely get sunburnt. You'll have a situation that they need to be very careful of the sun, and that's why they're as small as they are, is because they can then fit underneath their mother. So you see there, she's kind of ghosting in behind the mother and underneath the mother, and so if it would be a very hot morning and the sun would be up, then it would be able to go underneath mom and stay out of the way of the sun. Oh, this one is actually newer than I think we are even giving it credit for. I said a couple of weeks, but I don't think I'm actually right. I think it is maybe closer to a first couple of days, because it is still very wobbly, and just watching it stand up there, it doesn't have huge amount of strength. You can see the legs were buckling a little bit under the weight of this little baby standing up, and so maybe newer than we actually thought, but it will most definitely still need protection from the sun, and so you'll find it'll stick quite close to mom's shade and shadow, and if it's not in mom's shade or shadow, it will be under the shade of a tree and trying to just keep those ears out of the sun and keep its kind of ears nice and clean. And you can see now, so the young one has now started a trend. We've got some of the others that have decided it's time to have a bit of a morning rest. This one is almost doing its best swimsuit model pose. I suppose it is Christmas time for the calendars to be sent out. Maybe it's time for a Christmas card shoot. And so it's got itself lying down, legs stretched out, looking very dapper as it lies there with the soil all over it. And it seems to be having a whale of a time. Now, elephants in the rain, as what we were talking about earlier, sightings in the to have a whole bunch of games, and you'll find the ellies will lie like this. They'll dig up patches of soil, they throw it on themselves. They tend to be quite playful and boisterous because of the cooler conditions, and you tend to see ellies in fine form when weather is like this. You'll even find them swimming, actually, funny enough. Even though it's quite damp and wet, you would think they wouldn't need to go for a swim, but they seem to favor swimming in these overcast kind of damp conditions as well. So I think it's one of my favorite animals to find. The cats generally look quite miserable, but ellies tend to be really playful and to move around quite a bit and have a really good time. And that ellie looks as though it is as happy could be. They all seem to be smiling this morning. Right, well, I think we'll stay with our elephant herd because it's just a fun group to watch, and like I say, they probably get up to all kinds of nonsense this morning. And while we do that, let's go across to our bodybuilding man in the tent and see what he's busy pumping now in terms of lifting weight.
I've finished my morning workout and happy to see that those elephants are keeping you entertained with Tristan. This strange creature is called a UniBoone Hog. It's a cross between a unicorn, a warthog, and a baboon. Well, I should have said it, unicorn, baboon, warthog. Sinister beast. Thankfully they are extinct in this area, and this is just the skull of one. Now, why I thought I would show this to you is that it's interesting how different animals' teeth have evolved differently. Now, this is the same as that. It is a modified incisor from the top jaw of a warthog. And no, not hugely different to the elephants you were viewing with their tusks. They also have modified or elongated incisors which form their tusks. Isn't it quite fascinating how this baboon, who is our cousin, has developed these massive, sharp canines, rather? And I mean, imagine if we had one of those sticking out of our mouth. It would come out my lip, I guess. So who knows, maybe we did have some teeth like that back in the day, but our cousins the baboons currently do have a very large incisor, sometimes, or canine rather. It's often large as some of the big cats. This could well be bigger than a lot of the resident leopards in this area, and it does provide the baboons with a lot of respect when it comes to leopards and baboons. Baboons can often chase off leopards, and it's the leopards' knowledge that they do have these big terrifying teeth that can cause a lot of damage. Now what I would like to do is also show you the bottom jaw of this baboon, and we can relate to it and how similar its molars are to ours. Just looks exactly like Dave's set of teeth, actually, or mine. As you can see, this baboon obviously had a good dentist, no fillings, and obviously brushed its teeth very often. Anne-Marie, yes, indeed, you've mentioned how baboons' teeth are very scary, and it's a good lesson for all of us. They're a prime example of an animal that we should not feed, and there's lots of areas of Africa where not only baboons but other primates have become quite a menace to us as humans, baboons especially so, because they are very big animals. They do have these big teeth, and their brains are quite big as well. So as soon as they realize that they can get food from us, they can become quite a menace. So don't feed the baboons, otherwise you run the risk of having one of those teeth sunk into your flesh. Hello Bobby, you'd like to know if a baboon loses a canine, will it grow back? No, it won't. The same goes for the warthog and the elephant. Once that breaks, that come through, their first set fall out usually at around 6 months to a year and often aren't even visible to us. They don't protrude necessarily out of the mouth before they fall out. But I guess that's not really applicable. I'm sure you are referring to the adults with regards to them breaking their teeth and regrowing them. But there's not many animals or mammals that I know of that will be able to regrow their teeth. What I can tell you though is that elephants' tusks will continue to grow throughout their life. The rate at which they grow may slow down over time, but it is something that will continue to grow. And what's interesting is that you do get some massive elephant bulls called tuskers, also some females actually that get incredibly long tusks, and sometimes they simply get so long that eventually the elephant can't lift its head high enough while it's moving through the vegetation, and often those long tusks will eventually snap off, which is obviously sad because they're beautifully impressive animals to view. Let's see what's happening outside. Quick weather report. Hello VNOBH, what an interesting name you have. You'd like to know, do elephants really have a very good memory? And yes, they certainly do. They've got incredible memories. How good exactly, I'm not going to be able to tell you, but what I can assure you is that elephants have got the ability to remember, especially the matriarchs in the herd, where good water may be, where areas of danger may be, as well as where good sources of food may be. And they'll remember all that information over their life of around 60 years and be able to therefore plan accordingly. Another thing to remember is that elephants also have this ability to kind of mourn dead elephants. So if they came across a graveyard like we have over here, what you may find is the elephants coming along with their long tusks and their long trunks, sniffing the bones, walking about, and sometimes they'll pick one up and take it for a walk with them and plonk it down somewhere else. But they definitely do have this ability to mourn or console an area where an elephant has died in the past. Now, regards to the weather report, it seems to have cleared up, and I'm thinking of possibly ditching the tent. We might give it a few more minutes just to make sure there's no more rain, and then heading out on foot looking for some tracks. We won't be skipping through the veld though, we'll be moving more cautiously because we don't want to run into any trouble. But for now, over to Noel.
Alright, so Scott was talking about elephants having a very good memory. We are looking at something that has a very poor memory. This is a Ville de Beast. Although they're beautiful looking, they're not the smartest. He is going to do a territorial display for us now, though, so this will be quite interesting. He smelled poo, other Ville de Beast poo. He's now pooing. Now, hopefully what he'll do is he'll get down on his front legs and rub his face into the ground, and then stand up, and then roll onto his side, and then stand up, and then roll onto his other side. That's all getting the scent down on this in his little territory area. They tend to use roads to demarcate their territory. Now, the reason why I say he doesn't have a very good memory is I have watched Ville de Beast. Oh, he's just going to poo. All right, he's not going to do the whole display. I've watched Ville de Beast see a lion, snort, alarm call, run away for a couple hundred meters, couple hundred yards, then forget why they ran away, stop, look around, start walking back from where they came from, see the lion again, who's now closer, go, oh my goodness, it's a lion, run away, and this repeats itself until eventually it runs down the throat of the lion. I've seen it on far too many occasions. They're basically the dory of the bush. He's a little bit wet, shaking off the moisture there. We might still get lucky. He might still do his whole territorial display. Right now, he's doing a bit of grooming. He's taking his bottom teeth and rubbing them along his fur to help readjust and get a little bit of an itch in. Now, these are blue Ville de Beast or brindled gnu. When we eventually get up into the Mara, hopefully this morning, you will see a white bearded gnu, which is a subspecies of this one. Now, interestingly enough, those impala that we saw earlier, the females had no horns. Oops, there runs some impala now. Females had no horns, and the males had some horns. With the Ville de Beast, both males and females have horns. There's a nice sized male with the horns we're talking about. Now, impala live in open areas as well as thick bush. So because they also occupy thick bush, the females will not have horns as they will get caught when they run away. So they use camouflage to protect themselves and their young, as opposed to Ville de Beast, who, look, here in South Africa, they are in thick bush and open areas, but historically speaking tend to be in more opened areas, evolutionary speaking, let's say. So the females needed horns to help to protect their young, as well as to help lower the testosterone levels of all of those males that are in the herd structure. So in Kenya, when they're moving non-territorially following the reins in these sort of circular patterns, when you have the mating that's happening within those circular patterns, if there were only males with horns, you're going to have a huge upwelling of testosterone and a lot of fighting amongst the males. But now, because it's a sea of horns, because females have them as well, it lowers that testosterone level and allows them to function somewhat normally and only really come into mating when it's really time to mate. Now, Nikki, I'm so sorry. I was busy chatting, so I did not hear what you wanted to tell me. I did hear that Bobby has a question. Oh, Bobby, good question. You're wondering about what that circular patch under the eye, it's called a preorbital gland. They use it to scent mark. Let me see if I can just move the car a little bit. And let's see if we can get another view of, so they've got an occipital gland along their horns and their heads. They've got interpedial glands in their feet and a preorbital gland here. Let's see if he'll be so kind as to allow us. So in South Africa, with the territories of the Ville de Beast, what you're going to see is males like this going around and marking their territory, and sometimes they allow other males in, depending on the size of the male, and also depending on the resources. But basically, they carve out a little area for themselves, and then go, okay, ladies, look, I found an area, come to me. Now, if they have good food and good water, the ladies will come. If they don't, they're very lonely. And sometimes they attach themselves, not on a regular basis, but every now and then, to other herds of animals like waterbuck or impala. Now, if this Ville de Beast would just stop moving. Let's see if we can I can just, when he turns around, we'll be able to see it when he stops. Now look at us, Ville de Beast. No, he's not being, there, you can just see right on the eye, that sort of bald spot. That's the preorbital gland. Thank you, darling. Now notice where his ears sit when he looks at us full on. They sit to the inside curl. That means, and this only works with fully grown wildebeest, that means he's a male. If the ears were to stick out the sides, then they would get caught when they fight, but also the males tend to have a little bit larger horns than the females. The females' ears will go to the outside curl. Again, only in adults. Takes a few years for them to get their full horn size going. Alright, Tristan is still busy with those cute, cheeky little elephants, so I think let's head back to him while I'm searching around for something that wants to eat this wildebeest.
Well, our Ellies, we're not so much with the cute, cheeky little ones. We're now with the bigger boys that are bringing up the rear of the herd. They're all starting to appear now onto the road. And you can see this individual is just having a little stroll down the road itself. And he's been quite an entertaining fella. He's been up against a tree. And at one point, he was busy rubbing his bum all over a marula tree in front of us. So we'll try and keep up with him while he's on the road. The rest of them have all crossed into a very deep, dark thicket that our car is not going to go through with its roof on. So we'll leave them grass and leaves that have started to grow, and we'll try and catch up with this other young male that is just in front here. Now, I was listening to the radio. Now it sounds like there was a big fight between hyenas and lions this morning on Buffel's Hook. Which lions, I'm not quite sure, but it sounds as though there was quite a scrap that went on there. It seems as though 8 hyenas chased lions off a kill, so I would wonder who they are and which hyenas they are. So it must be our clan because it's not too far north of our boundary, but it'd be interesting to know which lionesses, if it's maybe the Ngahuma Pride or if it's maybe Talamati or any of them that could have gone that way. But as you can see, we've got all of our young bulls. I was saying that the young boys are making their way out of the back of the herd, and this is very typical to see. You tend to find these younger guys right at the back, and they slowly but surely will drift on the backside because, well, they're a little lazier than the rest of the herd. They don't move as fast, and so they tend to kind of hold up the rear, and you'll find then they'll have a bit of a game, push each other around, test each other's strength. And these three are all of similar size, so they'll be all about the same age. I would estimate that they're all older teenagers, so around the sort of 15-16 year mark, and their time with the herd is going to be quite limited over the next little bit. So they're going to slowly but surely be pushed out and be told to move on and to move off, because at the end of the day they're becoming sexually mature, and we don't want our bulls mating with their moms and sisters and aunts, and so they get pushed off and they go off on their own for a while. Right, well, I think what we'll do is we'll just try and wait for our naughty bulls to try and get off the road and to enjoy their game in the bush. And while they do that, and while we carry on and head towards Chitwa, let's see what Scotty's now up to in the tent, because he's been full of beans there this morning.
Hello, yes, I'm having a great time in the tent this morning. It's lots of fun, and what we found is a little grasshopper, and I'm going to try and show you guys as much of it as possible. It's very zoomed in under the microscope at the moment. We're just looking at one of its legs. Let's see if I can get the focus a bit better. And what I could see earlier is we could actually see it breathing, and it was just slowly pulsating its abdomen. There we can go. There we can see it breathing now. Look at that. Just next to its leg. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and elevate the microscope so we can see more of the grasshopper. Sorry. Oh, that wasn't very good. Oh, it's just jumped right up into the... Oh, I need to get focus quickly before it disappears. There we go. Look, here's its head and its complex eyes, its little antenna. And this is called a sand grasshopper. It looks just like grains of sand, and what I'd like to do is now release it back into the wild. So come on, it's just hopped up into the, probably attracted by the bright light of the microscope. There we go. Sorry to shake your arm, buddy. Okay, now what I'd like to do is show you what it looks like when we put it down on the sand. It's fascinating how well they blend in. So there we go. Oh, here it is here. There we go. Look at how well it blends in. Well done, Dave. Cameraman's nightmare. But you probably would have got an idea simply by the fact that it was very difficult to see. So it blends in very well with its environment, as do a lot of the small grasshoppers and other insects. And I know James yesterday on Bushwalk was looking in and around some flowers for some crab spiders. Here's a little flower here. It hasn't opened up yet because of the cloudy weather, but it will hopefully brighten up a little bit more and the flowers will all pop up. What I'm thinking is that even though we were hoping on heading out, I can feel a little bit more drizzle falling now, so we'll probably delay the walk for the time being. I'm glad we stuck around for one more segment from the tent, and for now you guys are going to be heading all the way up to the Masai Mara. I hope the weather's a little bit better up there, and you're going to be joining Taylor.
So it seems as though there's a bit of a gloomy day happening in the Sabi sand, and it's the complete opposite out here in the Mara this morning. It is absolutely beautiful, I tell you, and what a great way to start the day with a herd of elephants. Good morning, everybody. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me is Archie. Of course, I'm now trying to figure out whether it's Archie or Manu that's bad luck when it comes to me getting stuck in the cars. And of course, a big welcome to Ralph, who's sitting on the back of our car this morning, and he's just arrived in the Mara, and he's slowly going to start get to grips with things. Now remember, this is a live and interactive show, so you can chat to us. Just remember to always hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can also talk to us via the YouTube chat. Now there's a big truck behind us, so what we're going to do is, I know we want to sit and watch these elephants, but I'm going to have to park too close to them to allow all the other cars to pass us. The hot air balloon vehicles are all just parked behind me, so I've caused a traffic jam. So we're going to keep going, and you're going to love why I'm going to keep going. Is Jamie has told me that the marsh breakaways, or aka the Olololos, whichever you prefer, but they are the marsh breakaways, have finally brought out their new cubs, and we have been spending a lot of time with them over the past few days, particularly for the rehearsals. I have not seen these tiny fluff balls just yet, so I think that's where we're going to go. We're still exceptionally far away. We've probably got about I don't know, maybe about 8 kilometers or so to travel before we even get into the area, but hopefully it's going to be worth it. And I want to try and get there before it gets too warm. We know that there's a beautiful lugger which they are using to conceal the cubs, and that's really all the shade that's directly around that area. So if they dip down into that lugger, we're not going to be able to see them, and we don't want that. So even though we're going the scenic way around, it's not necessarily the most direct route. I think it's going to be quicker because the roads leading up towards that marshy section are still quite wet and slippery, and you can't go particularly quickly. And also, I don't know if I can face being stuck for a third time, although it might make Brent smile quite a bit. That's probably what will happen. He'll have the greatest time. Okay, so here we go. Lots of ellies out this morning, all coming out of the forest. So we're going to go down this road and head in that direction. We could see many different things. We're also in black rhino country at the moment, which would be quite nice to see a black rhino. They're always a great animal to have on screen, and I haven't seen one for a few days. So I think I saw one a couple of mornings ago, but that was really it. So nothing else just yet. So we'll keep heading in that direction. Just scanning around to see if there is anything, but we're not going to, unless it's something exceptional, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going straight towards those lions. Now, Armando, you're wondering if I know which animals provide more meat than others. Well, I would suppose it depends on how big that animal is and how many kilograms of weight they have. So something like an elephant, most certainly being the largest land mammal, will provide more meat than a zebra. So if you're talking about perhaps predators and taking down things and how much they have to consume, with prides of lions, the bigger they are, the more they need to eat. I suppose the more mouths there are to feed. So ideally, the bigger the animal, the better. They don't have to hunt as frequently. But zebra is still pretty hefty and will pack a few pounds. Buffalo even more so. And there's no shortage of either of those two species out here in the Mara at the moment. So our plan is, because you know what I'm like, I say one thing and then I do 500 other things because I cannot concentrate. So we're going to try to get the young cubs, and if they're not doing anything, if those little ones aren't around, then I think what we're going to do is, because I'd like to also show Ralph around, we might take the scenic route along the river and go and see if Scarface is about, and perhaps the Paradise Pride and the rest of the musketeers, and maybe even check that bat-eared fox den if there's enough time in the day. But unfortunately we are limited to that, aren't we? These drives fly by, they're really, really quick. Yeah, so we're just going to keep driving, like I said, along the main road until we eventually get to those lions, which is a fair distance away. Right. Lots of ellies again, but we're going to keep going just because I want to have a look. Also, there's lots and lots of other cars around, so I want to try and beat them to it. Get the best spot for all of you to have a look at the lion cubs. Whether they'll be out, I'm not so sure. I don't think the adults will be moving too much though. I think they'll be hanging around in that area. Morning elephants, morning hot air balloons, cattle egrets. Oof, there's lots of widow birds out at the moment. Perhaps on one of the more quiet days we'll have to start doing some birding again and see if there's any new ones to add to the list. Now, my dear big brother Brent is on this other side of the river in the Mara National Reserve, and he's been out searching for all sorts of things. It seems as though Scott Dyson is no longer the cheetah man of Africa.
We've got some really, really interesting behavior. I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's a female and estrus around. So when male cheetah make this sort of rattling, it means they're trying to stimulate estrus in a female. I haven't seen the female. I can only see 3 of the boys. Good morning, my name's Brent. I've got Batman on camera. And something is going on. I can only see 3 of the boys. Go.
And found a grasshopper. Sorry that you've lost signal with Brent. Very exciting stuff there. And I'm very, very happy that there may be the first cheetah mating sighting this morning. Who knows? And who knows where those other two Musketeer Coalition members are. Exciting stuff. Now, we've also got ourselves into an exciting situation. I just need to position this little critter correctly and then get the focus right. There we go. That looks a bit better. And you can see the antenna here very clear with two yellow bits on the end, and then that's the incredible markings and mouth parts. You can actually almost see the saliva as he minces his mandibles from side to side. So that's the mouth we're looking into, and a very, very impressive hopper. I'm just going to tilt it ever so slightly, and I think we can release him now back into the bush. And then I found another little interesting animal. Off you go, buddy. You keep doing your thing. Let me put you back onto the spot where I found you, which was that little bush. There we go. So he's back safely. And now for the next insect. Sorry, I'm in a rush because I'm very excited to show you this next one. It's a kind of longhorn beetle, and it's got beautiful metallic markings. Okay, we need to rush you across to Noel.
Hello everyone, we have Hosana. Yay! One of the Chitwa vehicles found him. And we all need a leopard today. So Tristan, sorry my leopard whisperer friend, you got my Ellies and I'm taking your leopard. And I'm just super chuffed about him now. So we talked about, do cats hunt in the rain? And our rain let up quite a bit, and now it's just slightly drizzling, and this cat is definitely on the move. So stay with me. I'm gonna have to meander around a little bit as we do, and please excuse the back of my head. I do not want to run into any stumps or any other possible things that will cause Wendy any more damage than I've already given her. And we are going to do our best to get you sights of him. It's hard because we do have our man cave on for Senzo, because the rain is hard enough that if we didn't have the man cave on, all of our equipment would get wet. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and come around to the front of Hosana, and then I'm going to try and do a little bit of maneuvering almost backwards through the bush to keep you guys in the loop with this beautiful cat. He is moving just on the left-hand side of the vehicle, so I'm going to do my best to get us there. And just hang tight. It's going to be very bumpy. As we got into the sighting, I was busy trying to get into position for a nice shot of him, and this branch came and smacked me in my face and on my hand a little bit, so I'm being extra careful just now. Now, to me it looks like Hosana has seen something, so I think if what I do is make us like so, we will get him. Now I can just see him through the bushes straight in front, and the way that he was moving to me means he's going to come across here, so everyone will get to see him nicely. Thank you so much for your patience and for sticking with me through that little bit of boondu bashing. Here he comes, slowly but surely. Now, for those of you that might be joining us for the first time, Hosana is a young male. I believe he's just under 2 years old. He has not set up a territory yet. Chitwa Dam and Twin Dams and a few other areas that we traverse regularly are some of his favorite haunts. You can see his pink little nose, and the fact that he does not have a dewlap, which is a very thick skin underneath, means that he is not an old male, he's a young one. I know Tristan was talking about how he has filled out recently, and that is definitely true. He's definitely filled out and is starting to develop the dewlap, but it's nothing like Tingana, who is a territorial male in the area who's very large. So for our viewers out there who watch us on a continuous basis, I don't know if you maybe want to put up a few of your wonderful little gifts that you do for any new viewers that might be out there who might want to see the difference between Hosana and Tingana. Can put that up maybe on the Twitter or on YouTube. Don't forget, we are live, we are interactive. Hashtag Safari Live on the Twitter or on the YouTube chat. And don't forget, if you're in the States, 14th of December during Big Cat Week on Nat Geo Wild, 10 o'clock Eastern, we're showing live for 2 hours on Nat Geo Wild. So you have to come. And I had to say it. We're with a big cat. We got to talk about Big Cat Week. So I'll say it again. Nat Geo Wild, Big Cat Week. It's here. Oh, it's Monday. It's here. Big Cat Week is here, and we are showing on the 14th of December, which is towards the end of the week. I think it's Friday for us, but it's Thursday in the States, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Oh, it's going to be amazing. I'm super excited. So let's hope Hosana's around for our Big Cat Week show. Now what he's doing is, because the rain started a little bit more and he's just walked through the wet grass, he's now cleaning the wet grass off of him. Our big cats don't like to get wet, but that being said, you can go to the Okavango Delta in Botswana and you get swimming lions. And I know the lions that you've been seeing with Jamie and Brent, the little rains and having torrential downpours. But for us, our cats here, not their favorite thing. Now, what's very interesting about them is that there is some difference in individual personalities. This story, but for those of you that are new, friends of mine that work in the northern Timbavati had a male about this age who liked to dive into water and hunt catfish, hunt barbel, and pull them up. I see you. What a good question. You're asking, is this a leopard or is this a cheetah? So different species. This is Panther. Now is the fact that this cat has oh, he's just moved. Let me just move the car a little bit. It's going to be a bit easier because I want to show you some facial structure differences. And also this is going to be a bit of a better view. All right, so oh, we want to go, sorry, Senzo's asking if I can go just a little bit the other way. I can indeed, Sense. Just hold on one sec. I just need to maneuver us a little bit. So, Snazzy, you want to know if animals' teeth get bad because if they don't get dental care. Snazzy, a lot of the bones that they eat and the way that they function as they get older, their teeth will get old and sometimes fall out. So I just want to go back to the cheetah leopard question with ICU. Do you see how with his face when he was just looking at us there that it's just dots and rosettes? Rosettes are little squiggly marks with a dark outside border and a light inside border. There's no quote-unquote tear mark. So a tear mark is black that goes from the inside of the eye and then down the side of the face. I also want you to notice when he looks again, the color of his eyes is a very light color. Cheetah have a darker color because they tend to hunt more during the middle of the day, and it just aids with that. But you know, they also hunt at night and various other times, but they fill a bit of a niche. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my book very gingerly here because we had a nice shot of Hosana, and I just want to show you a cheetah quickly. Sorry, Sens. There we go. That works better. See those dark marks I'm talking about? And then there's the eye. And notice how clear the full face is of spots and rosettes. And then notice as you come down off the face into the body, it stays spots. It doesn't turn into rosettes. Okay. So we can head back to our live cat. He has some spots, but most of it's rosettes. And you can see that he has... There we go. There's a little bit of spotting, and then when he turns over, you'll see the rosettes, but they're not those clear dots. And then you can see all the markings up on the side of his face. Also, when he stands up, he's quite stocky as opposed to being long and lean because he stalks his prey. I just seen now that Senzo has this silly little branch that's in the way. So I just want to reposition a bit because if you all want a screenshot, and you know I love when you take screenshots, I would like it to not have that little branch. I'm gonna try like this, and I'm hoping that works out a bit better. I know you all love our little Prince of Djuma. That's beautiful. So if I could take out all those little sticks, the tiny little ones in front of his face, I would, but it's better than that big one. Wonderful grooming patterns there. Getting all of the moisture off. Now, it looked earlier like he was interested in hunting something, but I think a lot of the movement he was seeing had to do with birds as opposed to any impala or nyala that's around. Let's just listen for a moment. Are we able to hear the bird sounds and everything? Or is it just a little bit too far off today? Might be a little bit too far off today. Emily, you're curious to know if the big cats mate with their siblings, or it a bit, but they can do, and that's with mom, dad, brother, their sister, son, daughter. I mean, they go all out. Leopards, this is very interesting. So he hasn't found this little leopard we're looking at now, Hosana. He has not found his territory yet. He is still within parts of his natal territory, so his mom's territory, and then sort of branching out a little bit. Now, what's very interesting about him is that he interacts quite often with his father, who I believe is Tingana, as far as I know. And that is actually quite a normal occurrence where as they reach about 2 years old, this little male moves away from his mom so his mom can have more cubs. If she's still alive, it depends on the scenario, but we're just going to go with not necessarily Hosana right now, but just leopards in general, so that the mom can then have more cubs. Then sometimes what happens is the father comes in and sort of takes over a little bit to assist in the growing up of the male. It doesn't happen in every single leopard population. There are very densely populated areas or in very low populated areas. Used to do some leopard research with a researcher in Namibia, and this is just a little tail end thing that she picked up. And you see Hosana and Tingana interacting with each other often. Okay. Then after he reaches about sort of 4 years old, sometimes a little bit earlier, but about 4, and he's big enough, he's going to start finding a territory of his own. Now, what might happen is his father's territory might be open by then, or his father might be old enough that he can beat up his father and then take it over. Or he might move hundreds of miles or hundreds of kilometers or tens of kilometers or tens of miles, depending on the scenario, and find either an open spot or another old male leopard that he wants to engage in taking over that territory with. So if he moves far away, then he'll be mating with non-related members of his family. If he stays close by, he'll be mating with members of his family. It's really interesting that question's a super good question, but it's not very black and white because of how different populations of leopards in particular function. And we live in a very, right where we're sitting right now in South Africa in the Lowveld, we sit in a very high leopard population density area. So a lot of the things that you read in books, we see different scenarios often. I mean, I think it was Tristan that had a sighting with a male leopard, with 4 of the male leopards. I think he had Hosana, Tingana, Mvula, and Tamba all in one sighting, if I'm remembering correctly. But viewers, you that have been with us for a long time, you'll remember that a bit better than I will. He's so pretty. I can't get over it. He might be Mvula's my favorite male. Mvula's one of our large male territorial leopards that I've seen on and off for the past sort of 5, 6, 7 years. But Hosana is very pretty. I enjoy him very much. He's going to be a big, beautiful male. I can hear elephants in the background playing at the dam. Hello, little Hosana. I'm going to leave you just for the moment. A bunch of you are asking what is going on with the wild dog. So I know that yesterday's sighting with the hyena for some was a bit too much, and for others, I think you really understood that this is a incredibly tragic yet interesting moment, and no judgments on anybody. Everyone has to take that sighting as they need to take it. But what we need to understand as well is that because that injury from that wild dog is a naturally occurring injury, we are doing in situ management. And by we, I don't mean we as in Wild Earth, because we have no choice over any of this. This all has to do with the management of the Sabi sands and the ecologists, who are very, very good at their jobs. So in situ management is hands-off management and just letting things be. And that is their choice and their decision, and that's what they're going to go with. And we will monitor from time to time. I'm not going to be up there every single show, but I will go up to do enough so that you guys can just see what's happening. I don't want to put too much pressure on him, as well as the fact that if he is sitting there lonely and cold and wet like he probably is doing right now, it's also not the easiest for many of us to get through, if that makes sense. So as far as I know, everything's still okay. After we're done with Hosana, if you guys would like, I can go up there, or this afternoon I can go up. Maybe towards the end of this morning show might be a better bet. But I think we need to just put the good vibe and just sort of breathe through the whole process of, although it is tragic and although it is difficult, it's okay. Everything will happen for what it needs to do. Okay, now let's go back to our beautiful prince. And again, guys, if you have more questions about the wild dogs or comments or concerns or anything like that, please send them through. I'm very happy to talk about them. Happy to talk about most anything with everybody, especially while we're sitting here with a beautiful leopard who is grooming himself. I think what we'll do is we're going to stay with him for a while. And then we might go back to the dam with the elephants and then head up for the wild dog. But as I'm saying this, Tristan has more elephants. So let's head on over to him and see what his Ellies are up to.
The road is now being turned into a mud bath and is being completely... And I was saying earlier that this is perfect weather for elephants, and well, as we've said, it's just really turned out to be that way. There's just ellies absolutely everywhere. I've seen another 2 herds since you last saw me. They've been all over the place, and they are reveling in this rainy, cool weather that we're having. Oh, you're going to have a little lie down there? Yes, there we go. Isn't that cool? Not every day you get 2 ellies lying down on their side, so that's super cool to see. There are also some guinea general vicinity as well, because the guinea fowl aren't happy at all on the backside of these ellies, and when they start making that noise, it could be because they're breeding at this time of the year, but it also could be a situation where they've seen something and they're making a bit of an alarm call. So we'll just have to see. But this herd is massive. It's difficult for VM to show you because of the rain covers that we've got, but they extend all the way to our right hand side. There's probably I would say easily 40 elephants that are in this general vicinity. It's just a situation where they're lying all over the road at the moment, these particular ones, and the rest, like I say, are on our right hand side. But it is amazing to see them when they lie down like this. It's one of my favorite things when these ellies all sit steadily at this stage. You can see it highlighted against that dark skin, and oh, hello. Now all of them are just starting to move a little bit. I wonder if something's not here, because they've all of a sudden gotten a little bit tense. Ears were out. This is the group on the right. The ones on the road are still really the same. Now I'm trying to, it sounds like that the guys have just found a leopard not too far from where we are. So apparently she's moving in thick bush, so we're going to try get around these ellies, because otherwise we're not going to be able to see her, because the guys say they're not going to be able to keep up. Now I'm trying to find a way around these guys, because it'll be interesting to know which leopard it is. Now I've got to just quickly give the guys a shout, because I want to try and get to that area. But while I try and negotiate these thickets and get around these ellies, let's head back to Scotty in the tent and see how he's enjoying his dry morning as opposed to our rather damp affair out here.
Yes, still loving my time here in the tent, and it's dry, but I must say we have been going out into the drizzle to look for interesting little things to find you, so I'm slightly damp, not 100% dry. What I thought would be interesting is to show you a map of Djuma, and this is the main area that we traverse in the Sabi Sands. It's rectangular in shape, as you can see, and the boundaries are invisible. They are just roads. So what's wonderful about the Sabi Sands is that the humans are contained to certain areas, but the animals can go wherever they like. So even though we may have leopard and lion coming into this area, they can move out and come and go and move hundreds of kilometers way up into the Kruger National Park. Who knows, even if they wanted to, they could go on an international holiday to Mozambique or Zimbabwe. There are no boundaries or borders preventing the animals from moving through the greater Kruger National Park, or at least a large majority of it. Now, what I was really interested in showing you is where Tristan is. He's in the southeastern corner, and I'm not too sure exactly where that leopard's been located, but he's somewhere around here. But what I wanted to show you, and what's of major importance for us and our future prospects over the coming week, is something that's going on in this little drainage line. It's a drainage line or riverbed system that runs from Buffelshoek Dam, which is where my finger is over here. That's where the wild dog was seen yesterday morning as well as yesterday afternoon with Noelle. I know she's been discussing that, and she may head back there, or who knows, maybe even Tristan may pop in there to see how that wild dog is doing. Let's hope it is okay. But if you follow this riverbed down all the way south of Central Road over here to this point over here, this is exactly where Thandi, a female leopard, is currently denning at least one tiny little furball cub. And what's further interesting about this den site is that it's the exact same den site where Hosana was initially found for the first time, and that was probably 2 years ago, I'm guessing. That's how old he is now, probably approaching around 2 years of age. And his mother, called Kruger, used that den site for him and his sister initially. Sadly, his sister has not been seen for a few months, so it could well mean that she is no longer with us. But inconclusive, we're not entirely sure. But isn't it fascinating that Thandi, now the daughter of Kruger, is now using this very same den site that her mother once used to raise the very same leopard you are looking at with Noelle male right now. Now, good prospects is that it's kind of not directly in the center of our property, but it's unlikely that she is going to move that little cub further out of our property. It would be quite a way to move a little cub, so let's hope that in the coming few days we are going to be able to get some visuals of that cub. Now, the reason why we haven't been spending too much time at the den site so far is that we are being extra sensitive. Thandi can be a little bit of a moody leopard. All leopards, just like humans, have got different characteristics and kind of different personalities, and Thandi seems to be quite aggressive, from what I'm told, when she does have young cubs. So rather than putting her in a bad mood, we're just giving her time and space to sensitive around us being there. Now, what's important to remember is that if we do not spend time with Thandi, and it's obviously a very fine balance, that cub is not going to be exposed to vehicles, and if the cub isn't exposed to vehicles for too long, it's naturally going to be quite scared of them, and we don't want that to happen. We want the leopard, just like you're looking at with Noel now, Hosana, to be completely relaxed with our presence. So it's a fine balance between habituating wild animals to vehicles and giving them a hard time when they are young. So we're busy feeling that out, and like I said, within probably the next week we'll probably head back in there to try and get you some glimpses, or at least some more glimpses, of that tiny little cub. So that's something to look forward to. In the meantime, you don't have to wait to see a leopard. You can go straight back.
Thanks, Scott, and I know you would probably prefer to be out on bushwalk, but it is nice that you got to show everyone with the maps just exactly where we're talking about. It's nice for a contextual purpose. I know for me it makes my job a little bit easier, so thank you very much, darling. Alright, so Hosana has groomed himself and is now laying in the wet soil, in the wet grass, and having a snooze. I'm assuming it might have something to do with a little bit of a diker that he ate yesterday, that anyone was watching yesterday afternoon saw with Tristan. Here he is from us. He's a very relaxed male. His mom was relaxed, so he's relaxed with us. He is maybe 8 meters from us. Yeah, you can see there, and he's very happy with where we are and what we're doing and our presence, and I'm speaking in a normal level voice, and he has no scum with allowing us into his world. I've been guiding for quite a while, and it still amazes me that we are able to watch these creatures and not necessarily interact, but be part of the natural environment in which they live without too many issues at all. I mean, everyone's bubble is different on every single day. His bubble today is very small, and it is allowing us some very nice views. Now, something that is also nice to point out here is with this green grass, and because we can physically see him, we can see that he does have camouflaged fur, but that the white underneath is poking out a bit more. So with thick bushes, it's sometimes harder to find leopard because they'll hide behind the bush or in tall grass. But when it's green like this, it's sometimes easier to see the cats. I know for me, with lions this time of year, it's easier to see them. Now, a lion is much bigger than this little leopard here. Cheetah I haven't seen in months, but cheetah would be a similar thing as well. And then when it comes into the dry season, our winter season, and everything turns very brown, they hide a lot better and camouflage a lot better without having to duck down. Their colors really blend in. Steve, what an interesting question. You're curious to know if a male leopard will ever take over a female leopard's territory. Now, Steve, in my experience and in my readings, I've never heard of that. Usually what will happen is you'll have a male leopard's territory, and within his territory there will be lots of love into those ladies and have his genetic material carry on into future generations. Now, that being said, just as a thought to ponder, if, let's say, a female leopard died and another female leopard didn't come in to take over, and he didn't have that as part of his territory, he might expand into it, but that doesn't mean that he wouldn't then allow another female to come in, if that makes sense. He wants those females there. It's an interesting thought. He doesn't want other boys. He wants all the ladies to himself. We have another vehicle that might be joining us, just in case anyone hears any sounds from a car coming in. Just so you know, we do share our sightings with the other lodges and other guests that are around, so you all get to sit in your warm, comfy, either offices or homes, and view the way that Senzo and I are viewing. So we do need to share, unfortunately. But yes, it's quite a thrill. It's just as much of a thrill being here as it is being at home. And picture is I'm looking at my little monitor in the car at the moment, and the quality of the picture is basically like being here in real life. It's what you're seeing right now is actually better than what I can see. I would have to. Nice if you moved a little bit. This is what we call when they do move, it's slow at first and stalking, and then it's a burst of energy. But he's definitely conserving what little energy he has at the moment. Now, that being said, I would like to know from all of you, would you like to stay with Hosana, or shall we head on up somewhere else? Let me know, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or on YouTube chat. Steve, you're curious to know, do leopards get along with cheetahs? Steve, predators don't like each other. No predator likes each other at all. They have territories that will be similar territories, and when they're territorial, any species is territorial against another individual of his own species. But if this leopard were to come across a cheetah, he would not be very happy. Ooh, my friend Tristan has another leopard. Let's go on over to him quickly.
We do indeed. I'm trying to keep up with her, but it's quite difficult because I can't actually see where I'm going most of the time. But it looks like Thandi once again. So there we go. There she is, straight ahead of us. Now she's moving through some really thick stuff and looks as though she's on the hunt once again. And you'll find leopards often use these conditions to hunt. It's perfect conditions to be able to chase animals and to try and worm their way through the thickets. The rain kind of deadens the sound and makes it difficult for any other animal to hear them as they go about their business. It's also quite dark today, which means that it's a lot easier for her to sneak around without being seen. Now, I know a lot of you have been asking about the waterbuck skull. The waterbuck skull on the front is all James is doing. I'm borrowing James's car because Rusty's just getting a little tune-up before we have our TV shows, so it's just having a little workshop time, and so that's why I'm in James's car. And what the waterbuck skull is for, I'm not 100% sure. It's pretty cool, but I don't really know why James has it on the front, but that's why it's there. It's because we're in James's car. Now, I've got to try and keep up with her as much as possible because in this area, she can lose us quite quickly. Now, the problem is that my field of view is so limited due to this roof that it makes it quite tough to actually see her if she changes direction like she's doing now. It seems as though she's on a real mission though, wherever she's going. Right, so let's see if I can get Wiem a view from here. Wiem, can you see from there or not? She's just here on our left, coming straight forward. So you can see it's not exactly open and easy to follow her, but well, we're going to try our very best to see if we can, because I'm pretty sure she's left the den now this morning. You probably find she spent the night at the den with the little one, keeping that little one nice and warm as it was raining. Now I can see a steenbok. There's a steenbok just over the back of her. Very difficult to see, but straight where she is, behind her, is a little steenbok in the distance there. It's difficult to see. It's so thick, but I can see a steenbok just over the back of her back, and now I can't see where she's gone. Where's she gone? Can you see her? she's just disappeared in front of us. I'm going to try and see where she's gone. Now, this is what happens when you following leopards, is that sometimes they just kind of disappear right before your eyes. I was so busy looking at the steenbok that I didn't see where she went. Now I'm going to try and get through. There she goes. You can see she's chasing after the steenbok, so I didn't see her at all, but there she goes. She's busy trotting and she's trying to work out where the steenbok's going to go. See, look at how attentive she is, and there she goes. She's into stalk mode now, so she's noticed the steenbok and she's most definitely going to try and see if she can keep up with the steenbok and follow it as it goes. This terrain that she's in is absolutely perfect for hunting, and we know that she's got this little one, and so she's going to have to be feeding a lot more just to try and keep her strength up. And so when it's cold like this, you find that she's going to take advantage and try and hunt as much as possible. But she definitely picked up that little steenbok, and you can see now that little tail is twitching as the calculating starts to take place. Ears are alert, and she's now going to try and position herself in a way that she can then hunt this little steenbok. The problem is that I don't think I'm going to be able to get through this particular section. Now, unfortunately, I can't see where the steenbok has run to. It seems to be behind a thicket. It's quite kind of to our right into that thicket, and I'm sure she can see it. Unfortunately for myself and VM, I can't see anything. VM, you see anything? Negative. No. Our roof, unfortunately, is also obscuring. I can go further forward because of a big fallen over tree. Behind me is a stump that I've got to be very careful of as well. So, but look at her as she goes. You see how she moves her feet slowly, and then she absolutely amazing to watch her as she goes about her business. Now, for those of you who don't know who Thandi is, and for new viewers that have joined us today, Thandi is a female leopard that has taken over this territory. Now, Scott was alluding to the fact that she does have a cub. We have seen the cub once. It is still very small, and so the area where the den is zoned. We haven't been going there. The zoned area will open up fairly soon, and we'll be able to spend more time with the cub. But she's spending a lot of time in the central parts of Djuma as she goes about her business to try and find and see if she can get food. But look at how she's stalking. You see how she's getting lower now? So she's getting deeper into the grass. She's starting to get her head down a little bit. She's trying to get herself as low to the ground as possible to get her head down so that the steenbok doesn't spot her, and she's trying to work a way to get through here without being seen. The problem is that VM and I we don't move, we might miss her completely. So there she goes, she's disappeared completely. Now I've got to try and see if I can reverse, because I'm not going to get through this thicket that we're in at the moment, and try and see if I can actually get myself to a point where I can see her. The problem is we also got some other vehicles that are trying to get in with us. Randall, you say she's very stealthy. Well, indeed she is, isn't she? Now I'm trying to get out of here without hitting the 20 million stumps that are in this particular section, because there are loads, and you can see now I've just come across a stump at the moment. So let's see if I can try and see if I can get through here. Not very easy at all, and I can't really see behind me, so it's trying to kind of get through. I've also got somebody calling me on the radio. Of course, it will all happen at the same time. Yeah, sorry, I'm just live at the moment. I'll call you in 2 seconds. Now I've got to just try and re-find her through all of this section here. And she's still stalking. I'm just going to quickly be using the radio. I do apologize. Yeah, Dave, if you come on Central, you'll find the vehicle tracks turning north in the block. Just follow those vehicle tracks all the way. It's quite a long way, and then you'll see me inside the block. Right, so she's just sat down now. I don't know where the Steenbok has gone. It almost looks as though she might have lost interest a little bit, and maybe she's just missed out where the Steenbok has gone. We'll just have to watch her for a bit. If she starts to stalk again, we might then do a action broadcast, but we'll just see how it goes. It almost looks as though she's now kind of lost her sort of prey item, and she's no longer nearly as interested as what she was. But like I say, if she does get into stalk mode, we will go into an action broadcast. So it will be quite fun. Now, just now you saw she was very low to the grass. She was kind of moving around. She was very sort of fixed and focused on an area, and seems to be kind of looking. Now, I believe Hosana, who's with Noel, is running off somewhere, so let's quickly jump across there, and we'll then let you know if she does start to hunt.
Oh my goodness gracious, everyone. Hosana just got up and started chasing these impala. He almost got one, but they managed to get away. It happened within, I don't know, half a second? I can't even say, not even half a second. And now you can hear the impala in the background. Oh, it was a near miss. It was a near miss. So he was about 10 foot from us, maybe possibly more, and then these impala came through, had no idea that he was here, and he was up, and he almost got this baby impala. And as you can see, he's a little bit upset that he's missed it. Look at those ears back. He's very annoyed. Oh, I'm so sorry we didn't manage to catch it for you on camera. It was very, very, very quick. He's definitely in the move. Let's go back to Tristan. Sorry, Tristan. Go back to Thandi. Maybe she makes the kill.
Well, she is going after the Steenbok now, so I'm trying to just get through here, but as you can see, it's not goes. The Steenbok is just in front of her. It's not far. It's around that bush is where the Steenbok is. Welcome everybody to this action broadcast. As you can see, we've got a female leopard who's sneaking through the thicket. She's busy trying to chase a Steenbok. The Steenbok is just trotting in front of her. There you can see her going through the bushes, the Steenbok running in the background. So what she's trying to do is she's trying to cut it off in these thickets. Now it is all very dense, it's very thick, so it's difficult to see, but hopefully she will get this right. Now I'm going to try and keep up with her. While I keep up with her, I'll just try and introduce myself. My name is Tristan. On camera I've got Ville, and we are live and interactive from South Africa. So send your questions through in the comments section below as we try and get through this. Now I believe our action broadcast hasn't gone through, but we'll just keep it up anyway because I'm super excited. It's all just pandemonium, and it couldn't be in a worse place because, well, as you can see, it's not exactly a very open section here. So I'm trying to get through and try and find her again. There she is. I've got her again now. I don't know where the Steenbok went. The Steenbok kind of trotted off not too far from her. Oh, that's a knob thorn to the leg. That didn't really go down very well. These are the things that happen though when you're out here. With the roof. I've got to try and keep the camera as straight on as possible for VM, so it's all very difficult at this stage, but anyway, it's the way it goes. Hopefully I haven't lost my earpiece. No, earpiece is still there. Leopard is still there. Steenbok, I don't know where that is. Oh, there's a duiker, so she's now stalking a duiker. She's not stalking a Steenbok anymore. I'm trying to get my head out the way, so it's all happening at the moment. Thandi is in full hunt mode. There, just to your left, VM. There it is. That, I think, is a duiker. Is it a duiker? Yes, it looks like it. Right, but you can see the little duiker is looking through the bush. It's more concerned with us at the moment. Thandi has managed to spot it and is now sitting watching it. She's no more than, I would say, 15 meters, maybe 20 meters from this duiker, and she's got nice cover between her and the duiker itself, so I wouldn't be surprised she's going to get really low and start moving through the thickets and try and just get round the bushes a little bit, where she'll then stalk it. Now it's starting to rain quite heavily, which is playing into the favor of Thandi, because she spotted her prey animal. The prey animal doesn't know that she's there, and this rain is going to deaden the sound. It's deadening the scent, and so she can get much closer. But you see how she knows now is the pivotal time to keep still. She cannot afford to make a rash movement, so what she's doing is she's waiting for the duiker to lose focus and start to feed. Once the duiker starts feeding, then she can start to move again. So she's just going to have a patience game, and it is amazing how she watches every little muscle. You see, as soon as the duiker starts moving, she starts moving. So she saw the duiker move away and look away ever so slightly. She took one step forward. The duiker then looked in this direction and she stopped, and you can see how she's holding it. Her muscles are twitching. She's definitely very, very interested, and if we play our cards right and we sit dead still, we might just get lucky here. This is absolutely amazing. Earlier in the day, Noelle was alluding to the fact that she's had some incredible sightings in the rain, and what is my favorite sightings in the rain? Well, some of my favorite sightings in the rain have been cats hunting. I've had absolute luck with the cats, and particularly in the rainy weather when they go off on hunts. I've had an amazing lion buffalo kill in the rain with it absolutely tanking down, and I've seen a leopard killing a little baby impala also in a massive thunderstorm. So this weather is perfect for hunting cats. Like I say, it gets very noisy, it gets very loud with the rain falling on all of the leaves, and that's going to make it much easier for Thandi to be able to then get closer. But you can see the patience that's involved in these hunts, and why they are sort of predators that don't always get it right is because they have to be able to get close enough to launch. Something like a cheetah, this would be way too close, and the cheetah would easily be able to outrun this duiker. And lions, you would have a situation where they'd maybe encircle this duiker, but a leopard, it can't do that. It's got to use all of its skill and its ambush capabilities and camouflage to try and get as close as possible. And while this may seem very close for us as people, it's actually really far away for this leopard. She needs to get within about 5 meters for her to be really successful, and so that's why she's sitting so still. You can see her muscles are starting to twitch a little bit and shake as she holds this position, and what she wants is that duiker to put its head down and start feeding. Once it puts its head down and start feeding, that means she can drop down and she can then start to move and position herself in a way that the duiker might start walking towards her. But look, you can see how she's twitching. Now, what's also interesting, if you look on her tail, it is very, very wet, but if you can just go up on her tail a little bit for me, in that area there, I thought there was a bit of mud there, but I keep finding Thandi with mud on the back end of her tail, and I'm pretty sure it's because of the little cave that she's got the little one in. Every time she goes in and out, there seems to be soil that rubs up on her back and her tail, so we always know if she's coming from the den, because generally there is this little muddy section on the tail itself. Now, the duiker is turning a little bit and is seems to be looking away from us slightly. That's why she's maybe moving a little bit, is because she can see that the duiker is not paying attention towards her, although I see that duiker is now looking at us and is just watching us. This is so amazing. Now, I'm going to keep my voice down a little bit, because at the end of the day, we don't want a situation where we're going to expose her and give her up, but it is absolutely incredible to see. There you go, you can see the duiker. Its face is turned towards us. It's difficult to see, but there is the head is kind of in our direction, and so I'm pretty sure it is kind of watching us. It's not watching Thandi, but it is watching us. But you can at least see its beautiful coat that it's got, and you see it's breathing. It's dead still. It's trying to rely on its camouflage now to blend in, but Thandi is locked on. She knows that it's there. She can see it, and she is slowly but surely creeping forward. It doesn't look like it, but she has taken about 2 steps since we first got into this position, and has slowly but surely is just pushing those legs forward. Look at that front leg wobbling. You see how she's slowly trying to put it in front? So she lifts it, and she's going to try and put it in a place where it doesn't make any sound whatsoever. Isn't this incredible? You see how delicate she is with that paw. She lifts it over those grass stalks, slowly trying to put it down so that she doesn't make any noise whatsoever. Also, the movement needs to be slow and staggered because that duiker is going to pick up any quick movements. You can see she wants to go though. She's probably quite hungry with this little one absorbing all the nutrients from her. She's got a situation. Look, you see she's twitching. Right, welcome to all of our new viewers that have joined us for this live action broadcast. We are in the middle of South Africa, very rainy South Africa, and you can see we've got a leopard that is very attentive. It is busy watching a grey duiker, which is a type of antelope that is tucked away in the thickets. I think it's somewhere in that direction. It was there. There it is there, Viam. I can see its bum moving, and so this leopard is slowly but surely moving towards that duiker. It is poised to try and hunt, and every time the duiker moves, the leopard is moving. You can see it's now just gone a few steps forward, and what it's trying to do is it's trying to cut off the movement pattern of this particular duiker. It's trying to get into the path of it so that the duiker walks. There goes the duiker. It's starting to run now. So the duiker obviously saw it, unfortunately, and you can see now her whole body posture has absolutely changed. She's now become more relaxed. She's looking around, and that's typical of a leopard that has now lost the hunt, unfortunately. But this is the way that it goes. Sorry, that was my head in the way there. I'm trying to kind of maneuver myself so that I don't get in the way of things. Now, while she kind of watches what's going on, my name is Tristan, and you can post any comments or questions that you have in the comment section below. I don't think she's finished hunting though. I think she's still going to try and keep moving with this duiker. This morning we've been with her and she's already chased a steenbok, and you can see she's moving in the way of the duiker. Now the duiker might not be too far ahead. It might have just run a little bit to be able to kind of just sit and get some distance between where we are and where the leopard is. It sometimes doesn't see the leopard, but it just gets that kind of moment notice and it will try and move. Right, now I believe that action broadcast as well, so I'm sorry that I keep changing the way I'm talking, but we're trying our very best to do so. Now while I try and keep up with Thandi, let's go back across to Noel and Hosana.
Oh my goodness, so Hosana heard a baby elephant calling and has now weaved his way through a herd of about 20 elephants and is now lying down in the grass and just trying to, I don't know what he's trying to do. I think he was just super curious, and that's why he did what he did. But these elephants are all around him, and they're not paying attention at all. It's very different from, say, what would happen if this was a lion. Those elephants would have gone crazy. I've got two other vehicles in the sighting with me, so you are going to see them. I'm going to have to move just a little bit when he moves past us. Sorry, we are in our cave, and I'm going to do our best to meander as best as I can without hitting any trees. There we go. Are you okay there? We can maybe try. I'm gonna have to move a little bit more again. Sorry, everybody. It's tricky, this maneuvering. Excuse the vehicle for a second there. There we are. Perfect. There he is. Out in the open for us. I'm just, it's absolutely amazing. There was even a small little baby elephant that's with this herd, a tiny little elephant that's probably only a couple of days old, that he would be very capable of taking down, and I think that's why he was so interested. And now that the whole herd has sort of come around, even though they're not paying too much attention to him, he's sort of given up on trying anything. But you can see the little tip to his tail is jiggling around, so he's definitely interested. I just don't think he knows exactly what he's going to do. So sorry, we've got another vehicle that's going to be moving in front of us, so just hold on for a second. Sorry about that, everybody. We are only going to be able to stay with Hosana for another couple of minutes before we have to give space and head on. So I'm going to do my best to get us a spectacular last little view of him. Excuse the back of my head. Here we go. And then we'll take another little gander, and then unfortunately we have to be on our way. But how exciting, and how exciting was that little sighting of Thandi we had. Here we go, here he comes. Now he's pretending that the elephants never had anything to do with anything and just smelling around and looking beautiful. Now notice when he's moving around, he's not really scent marking. He's just investigating. He doesn't have a territory yet. If this was Tingana, there would be a little bit of scent marking possibly going on, or even Thandi. Thandi's territorial. By spraying urine, as well as rubbing his face onto the branches to put his scent there. Oh, he's thinking about maybe going up that tree, hopefully. That would be lovely. It's interesting how dedicated he was to coming towards these sounds of this baby elephant, and now he's so unsure of himself. Sorry, Scent? Senso says he's posing for all of you. He's totally posing for you. Now you can see his belly's a bit full from that diker. So it's also another possibility that all of the excitement and then his full belly is stopping him from performing in absolute leopard spectacular behavior. Because the heavier they are, it is a little bit harder to maneuver around. But he was interested in those impala, and then that distress call of the baby elephant severely piqued his attention. So it wouldn't surprise me if he makes a kill today. So Tristan was talking about how this very, very light rain assists in the hunting and masks the sounds. It's very true. I think that's also one of the reasons why he was able to get in and see the inside of this elephant herd so precisely, is because there's hardly any wind. There's a little bit of rain. It's masking not only his sound but also his scent. Now, interestingly enough, there is a young male elephant that's coming down the road. So I think that is going to push, and as I say that there Hosana moves off, I think that's going to push him away. And unfortunately, we have reached the end of our time that we're going to be able to stay with him. So I hope you all enjoyed our magical sighting with Hosana. And I'm unfortunately going to have to move on from here and let someone else come in and enjoy this breathtaking leopard sighting. Ooh, there's another way to tell it's a male leopard. You see the yellow under the tail? Those are the testicles, and the fur around the outside the testicles shows yellow there. So for any of our new viewers, oh, he might go up this tree. Sorry, guys. I'm going to... Oh, no, the elephant's coming. Let me just move back just a bit for in case we get any action. I don't want to move too much closer to that other vehicle because I don't want to impede on either animal's ability to interact or not interact with each other. Yeah, he's watching this elephant and also watching the tree and deciding. This elephant's moving on. I do think that Hosana wants to climb into this tree, so I think I'm going to push our sighting for just another minute, because if he does climb up this tree, it's going to be spectacular. Oh, but quickly before he makes his mind up, let's go up to Brent and the Masai Mara.
Well, we're still with the boys. Now, we're still following that. There's that incredible sound. Now, generally, there's got to be a female and estrus around when cheetah make that noise. Isn't that incredible sounds? So, we've only seen 3 boys this morning, and D'Artagnan's just walked past another male. He's left him in the distance. But I definitely think, I wonder whether it's Imani or Mushpai, that might be an estrus. Mushpai, the last time I saw her, was acting like she was looking for love. So that D'Artagnan is making, oh, sorry, Dart, I think he thought I was a girl, is meant to try stimulate females into ovulation. These sounds are just incredible. Now remember, this is 100% live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. Seems to come from very deep in their chest, that sound. Now, the other males are calling, and I can hear them all around, but they're not making that so of course, make smelt a female in estrus. They don't think they've heard her, and she haven't found them yet. Scott Dyson, hiding from the rain in the tent, and Djuma is wanting to know where the other males are. So there's one probably about 200 meters from us, and Scott will know exactly where I am. I'm next to the Murrum pits, right next on the northern side of Hammerkop. So I saw two males go towards Talek, and then there's another male that is just beyond the Murrum pits there. So those are the only four I've seen this morning. I'm not sure where number 5 is, but I'm pretty sure somewhere in this vicinity. And I'm pretty sure Scott Dyson's a little bit jealous this morning while we're following the D'Artagnan, and Scott is trying not to get wet in the tent. Scotty, I hope you're brushing up on your book knowledge today, doing some learning. I just got word from Nicola Orsted in Final Control. Scott Dyson is definitely jealous. Sorry, Scotty. At least you didn't fall on your face in the mud like Taylor. So he's jogging, but he's been doing this all morning, up and down and up and down. Yep. It's so cool to hear cheetah vocalizations, because we do hear sometimes, but this vocalization I think I've only ever heard 3 times in my life. This will be number 4. That deep sort of throaty, well, I suppose not a growl, rather I don't know what to call it. Now, of course, we've been on the move again. We've been seeing a lot of females in this area, but I think the 2 that are most likely going to be an estrus or about to be an estrus is, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, Mushy Pie. I like to call her Mushy Peas, or Imani, and both have been in this area frequently over the last couple of weeks. I hope it's Mushy Pie or Mushy Peas, just so I can say Mushy Peas a lot. Now, we're quite lucky this morning. We spotted the cheetah from a long distance away, sitting on top of those Murrum pits that we were looking at earlier. So they haven't moved far from where we left them last night. It's only about 500 or 600 meters. I think there's been a lot of this running around and around looking for the lady. Now, what's quite interesting in terms of the coalition structure is that D'Artagnan is the only one making that which is supposed to stimulate female ovulation, where the others are calling, going bow, bow, but they're not making that throaty growl. Hi, Lynn. Lynn's wondering, would the coalition fight each other for a female? Lynn, it's very possible, and we haven't actually seen them fight over females before, so I think definitely, but judging from the behavior, it seems that D'Artagnan here is the dominant in the coalition. Just from what I'm watching this morning and listening to him make those sounds. Now you can watch his belly. Actually, my Jack Russell makes a sound like that sometimes. Not quite the same. I keep checking around, hoping for a female to come sauntering in. So I think female cheetahs, when looking for males, I don't think they run or waltz. They definitely saunter. They're very sexy cats. I think they do a saunter, female cheetah, rather than a gallop, a run. And of course, I say saunter because, interestingly enough, female cheetah hold most of the cards when it comes to mating, unlike lion and leopard. And for a female cheetah to actually come into full estrus and ovulate in certain parts of Africa, and it all depends on the year or the time, or etc. But on average, they have to turn down at least 2 or 3 male coalitions. It can be the same coalition more than once before they actually come into ovulation. So they will flirt and flit off. So I'm keeping my eyes open not only for female cheetah but also for any of the other males. Now, luckily enough for the grants, gazelles and baby topies of this part of the world, they have absolutely no interest in hunting. Even though they are hungry,